And welcome, guys, to Ocarina of Time Better OT 100%. Now, we're doing better OT because we don't want to deal with cutscenes, so it's a lot faster, and Dampe also is not a problem in better OT. So, yeah, let's take it over to ZFG.
Hello?
Are they... All right.
Hey, guys. So before we start, I just want to talk about what this is. So this is called Faster Quest. It's a mod of Ocarina of Time that has it has faster cutscenes and faster text. Basically, the goal of this mod is to remove a lot of the downtime that is normally in Ocarina of Time speedruns. It's like one of the most common complaints about this speedrun is, there's a lot of cutscenes, a lot of downtime. So this mod tries to minimize all that while keeping the gameplay exactly the same. And so hopefully that makes for an interesting run. So ready for countdown?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so right away you see much faster intro, no intro at all. So this was a mod made by Fig. He started working on this a while ago. So if you guys are familiar with Randomizer, Randomizer had a lot of additional changes besides just randomization, where it also sped up cutscenes and stuff so that people would have a more enjoyable gameplay experience without having to wait around a lot. And then someone had the idea of, hey, what if you took Randomizer and you unrandomized it? And that is what this is, basically. So basic Ocarina of Time speedrun tech, backwalking is pretty fast. You generally want to backwalk a lot. Side hopping is also pretty good. So you'll see a lot of backwalking and side hopping. So this beginning area, I'm just collecting a bunch of rupees. I gotta get the sword and shield first thing. So there's a few extra rupees you can get here that are invisible just by backflipping and stuff. So over here, I'm gonna climb this fence. Come on. And you can jump slash right up to this bridge and not fall off. Okay. Just to get this rupee. That's supposed to be faster, but yeah, you know. Then one last blue rupee in here, so I can get 40 rupees to buy the Deku Shield. So now what I'm going to do here is a trick called ESS, where I hold slightly outside the dead zone on the control stick. I'll explain this a bit more later, but I'm going to use this to clip through this guy. And now I can leave the forest early. And so that pretty much skips Deku Tree, but I do need to beat Deku Tree because it is a 100% run. So I'll just be coming back later. So more about this trick. So this is another ESS. So I'm holding very slightly outside the dead zone of the control stick. And while you're doing this, the game locks your speed. So before, when I did that, I did a jump slash into water, and that gives me a very high speed. That's why I was going very fast. Right here, it's a very low speed. The reason this is low speed is just there's no way to get a higher speed. But the reason I wanted to do that in the first place is there's an owl there that wants to talk to me. And NPCs cannot talk to Link while you're doing ESS. So that just completely avoided the owl. And what's really good about that is that time of day does not pass while he talks to you. So by doing that, it made time of day actually pass more, and that's good for later. All right, so here's another ESS. I can do this all the way to Kakariko. This also skips another owl, and it's just generally faster movement. So here in Kakariko, the first thing I want to do is collect all these Cocos. So there's 7 Cocos in Kakariko. You collect them all to get a bottle. Bottle is a really important item in this game, as well as just obviously a 100% requirement. I should probably talk about the 100% rules. So 100%, you have to get all of the extra stuff, all of the items, all the upgrades, all the highest upgrades, all extra collectibles, gold skulltulas, heart pieces, all that good stuff.
Isn't the rule set something like you have to collect every item that shows on your pause screen in Temple of Time or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So these Cocos, when they're running away, they always run in whatever direction they can get farthest away from Link. So you can kind of use that to manipulate the direction they run in order to move them towards the pen faster. So almost done here. I want to slash that Cucko just to make it run towards the pen faster. That Cucko is halfway on. Okay. And there's the bottle. Now after getting the bottle, I'm actually going to go to the bottom of the well. You normally need Song of Storms to get in here, but I can do this. I can do a jump slash and talk to Navi. And that's called a Navi dive. So when you talk to Navi, when you do a jump slash, Link kind of has a pullback animation at the end of the jump slash. And when talking to Navi there, you talk to Navi during that pullback animation, so Link falls off the ledge during the pullback and just goes through the water.
Yeah, because water collision is disabled while you have a text box open like that.
So here in Bomb of the Well, the main thing I want here is bomb shoes. But I also have to get stuff for later. I'm going to be making 2 trips to Bomb of the Well. I'm going to get some stuff right now and then come back much later on. That's why I'm getting 2 keys right here. And now I'm going to try to do a glitch to get to the basement unloaded. I was early. So I have to wait for that skull, so it's just faster to reload the room by going in here. So what I'm trying to do is hover off of this skull. So I just got a glitch called the Infinite Sword Glitch. Really? I got a glitch called the Infinite Sword Glitch, which makes my sword swing infinitely, and when you shield damage in the air like that, it makes you stand in the air. And so what I'm trying to do is do that, and then do a trick with the Ocarina to fall into the basement. All right. And by holding the Ocarina there, it makes it so that the basement can't actually load. There's normally a loading zone there, so that the basement actually loads, but you bypass that load zone. And while I'm in the basement here, there's a bunch of invisible water. All the water in the game extends downwards infinitely. And there's supposed to be just like shallow water around bottom of the well, but this shallow water, extends downwards all the time. And I can swim through this water to get to this chest early and get bomb shoes. Now with these bomb shoes, I can clip out of bounds here. So when you grab vines as Child Link, Child Link clips slightly through the vines, just like normally when you grab them. And if you take damage on that very short time he clips through the vines, you just go straight through. And so I can use that to get to Dead Hand early. You normally would have to play Zelda's Lullaby to lower the water here. So for Dead Hand here, I have to wait before I attack him. He's only vulnerable right before he digs back underground. And so I wait for just the right time to attack so I can kill him faster. And this will give me the Lens of Truth. So after this, I'm going to do one more out of bounds clip, but this time using a Skulltula to clip out of bounds. That's not going to work. Why is it? I have to find just the right frame for the, okay. I have to find just the right frame for the gold Skulltula to hit me right as I'm re-grabbing the vines. Keep going too fast. Why is this happening? All right, this should work. So this will put me into out of bounds water again, and I can use this to clip into a certain room without a key. Uh-oh. I'm gonna get rid of this guy. All right, so I'm getting ISG off this chest, and I'm gonna hover up to that gold Skulltula. And get this gold Skulltula, and now I'm gonna be out of here. That's my first gold Skulltula of the game. So I do need to come back to bottom of the well later. I didn't get everything in there, but it just ends up being better to leave right now and come back. Really, the main thing I wanted there is bomb shoes. It happened to be convenient to also get Lens of Truth in that one gold Skulltula, but bomb shoes was the main reason for going here. Getting any kind of explosive early in Ocarina of Time speedruns is super important. So this is what's called a Hess. Just like the ESS I mentioned earlier, this is the fastest speed you can get using an explosion. So I just used the bomb shoe on the sign, rolled into the explosion, and held ESS, and that gives me that very high speed. So this will be a very common movement technique throughout the run. So right now it just turned night, and normally the drawbridge goes up at night, so you can't get into market. But the last time I looked at the bridge, it was still down, and so if I just don't look at the bridge and just get on these chains here, the bridge will go up with me. As soon as I look at the bridge will go up, and I will go up with it. So I can get into market even though it's night. Grab this gold Skulltula. So I'm going to head over to Hyrule Castle. I got to get a gold Skulltula and then head over to Zelda. Before I talk to Malin here to get the egg, I'm going to do a glitch called RBA, Reverse Bottle Adventure, to get a bottle in my B button. I'll explain it in just a second. All right, so right now I have a bottle on my B button, and the reason this is important is when you catch anything in a bottle, the game has to update both the button you caught that in and your inventory screen. But when you do catch it on a B button, it doesn't update properly, and it actually modifies other parts of your inventory. And so what part of my inventory it modifies is based on my C right item. So you see I have an empty bottle on C right now. That modifies my third bottle slot. So the next time I pause, you'll actually see I have an extra bottle in my bottle 3 slot now. And so I want to get over to Zelda and wake up Talon early, and there's this little seam there you can walk up. Sometimes where two walls meet, you can climb it at a very specific angle. And so right there, just had there's this tiny little bit that you're able to walk up, get up here. This just allows me to get over here faster. Wake up Talon. So waking this guy up is just to be able to do some Lon range stuff later on in the game. If you don't wake him up, then Lon range stuff doesn't happen. You're also supposed to wake him up to push the boxes, but instead of pushing the boxes, you can damage boost up there with a bomb shoe. So here's the guards. I just want to side hop past them all, hopefully. If you really want to risk it, you can just do frame perfect side hops, and they can never catch you. I'm not quite gonna go for that, but just hope that they all look away from me. What direction their head is facing does affect their sight range. This kind of sucks. Okay. You can sneak right past that one. And so here's a really nice skip of fast requests, just skipping that entire long Zelda cutscene. I messed up. And so the reason I wanted low health here is so I can die right as I enter this cutscene. This is a cutscene where you learn Zelda's Lullaby. And so I die into the cutscene, so I get the song, but I don't have to watch the whole cutscene. Now this is fast request, and so the cutscenes are faster. But for the purposes of this run, I'm going to be doing all the same exact strats I would do in a regular 100% run, not on fast request. So any cutscenes that I can skip with glitches, I will still be doing. So now I've gotten all the really important essential items as child, and I'm going to go to the Temple of Time. So normally, you can't really do anything in Temple of Time unless you have the 3 spiritual stones and the Ocarina of Time, but you actually can do something here. Hardest trick in the game. All right. All right, and now I can become adult. So there's just a little crack in the door time between the door and the wall there, and it's just enough to be able to clip out of bounds. Then once you're out of bounds, you can jump slash back in bounds and clip through the door and become adult. So another really big fast request skip here with just no cutscene there. That cutscene is normally pretty long.
And you also have to save warp there to get out of the Temple of Time, because the door is still there, so we can't get through it.
Yeah, it may have looked like there was no door there if you just look through the tunnel there, but it would load if I actually go through that tunnel. So this is the only way to escape. So first thing I'm going to do here is go to Kakariko. Kakariko has a few important items I really want to get pretty quickly. Gonna Hess over there. And I can do another really quick Hess here. I can blow that. Oh, real. I can blow up that shoe on the sign that lets you Hess fast, but mess it up. Sometimes you target the sign there, and when you target stuff, when you start a Hess, kind of makes it awkward. That's the item that starts the big Goron Sword trading quest. I really won't be doing too much with it, but I do need to get it right now. So I'm going to go in this grave leads to Dampe's Race, and I'm also going to grab this Poe at the same time. So I need to grab this Poe later. It helps a lot with RBA. It's basically a free chew refill. And the reason I did that while entering the grave is just it's faster. It doesn't like do anything special. It's just it lets me grab the Poe at the same time as I go in the grave, so it just saves a little bit of time. This guy loves to throw fire and slow you down and ruin your day. This fire is completely random, so you always want to like stay pretty close to him because you obviously want to go fast, and so a lot of the time it's kind of hard to react to the fire just because it's usually thrown right in front of you.
The fire can actually mess you up later on because it gives you damage in less than a quarter of a heart, so you can get damage that you don't actually see. So with a death warp that's coming up later, it can make you not die basically because you have more health than you think.
Yeah, I think I should be fine. So my reward there's the hook shot. I go through that door and then go back through the other way so it crushes me so that I get sent back to the beginning. And that is because I don't want to leave the graveyard. There's a trick I want to do here to get over to Shadow Temple early. So I'm going to bonk into the shed and mash hookshot. And right now, I'm in a glitch state where I can't really move at all except for a few frames every loop of Link's idle animation. And by doing that, I'm able to do this. So what happened there is when I used the hookshot, and the hookshot got interrupted by Link's idle animation glitch. And when the hookshot gets interrupted, that causes Link to do a really big jump. And so I can use that jump to get over to this hell. And I can climb all the way up and go into Shadow Temple early.
He jumps over a loading zone here, so the stone block that's covering the temple doesn't actually load.
So the reason I want to go to Shadow Temple is Shadow Temple has the hover boots. So hover boots are normally a pretty late game item, but I really want to get them early because they save so much time in so many places. In fact, Shadow Temple is another dungeon we return to later on. We do in 2 trips. And it's worth the extra trip right now, solely because hover boots are such an amazing item to have early on. So same thing as Child there, I have to wait for him to go underground to attack him. So I'm going to try to die at the same time I open this chest. This is just going to be a faster way to exit Shadow Temple. Did that work?
Maybe by 1 frame.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. If it didn't work, all I had to do was just save and quit. Wouldn't be a big deal. So this just puts me back at the beginning of Shadow Temple, just a quick way to exit. All I came here for is that. So I'm going to do Reverse Bottle Adventure again, get another bottle in my B button. So I got to dump my bugs here, and I'm going to try to have this explosion help me get my turn my B button into a bottle. And when I caught those bugs there, that just gave me 29 bomb chews. Again, Poe modifies my bomb chew count. So every time I catch anything on B with Poe on C right, it's basically a free bomb chew refill. So there's going to be something interesting coming up here.
Question mark?
All right, that should be good. So what happened there is I went up and down those stairs 17 times, and every time I go up and down the stairs, it loads a certain object that has to do with the intensity of the rain in Graveyard. And every time this loads, it doesn't unload when I leave the area. It's the only thing that doesn't unload when I leave the main area of Graveyard. And so it just keeps stacking up, and at some point, the game has to start deleting stuff because there's just too much stuff loaded. And so what it actually deleted was the tombstone blocking the Sunsong Grave. So I can just come right in here without having to blow it up. And so this lets me get Sunsong fast.
How much faster is doing those 17 stair reloads than just playing the lullaby there?
It's about 10 to 15 seconds faster. It actually can be a little bit faster because the number of reloads you need can depend on certain circumstances. The lowest you can get is actually 14 or 15, depending on if you were able to use bugs during the stairs section. And so then obviously it'll save a little bit more time. In this case, not really an option. used in some routes. So I can do a Hess out of here. Oh, I forgot to mention what I RBA'd with the egg on C right. So when I caught bugs on B with egg on C right earlier. So that gives me a glitched Deku Stick upgrade. I'm now able to hold 30 Deku Sticks, but it's not actually the real Deku Stick 30 upgrade. However, the reason I got it is because it actually will let me get the real Deku Stick 30 upgrade faster. It'll actually let me skip the middle one. I skip the 20 upgrade and can go straight to 30 later on in the run.
Yeah, we only require to collect the last upgrade in the chain of upgrades to count for 100%.
And so the Dampé race here has 2 rewards. The first one is Hookshot, which I already got, and the second one is a Heart Piece. So the reason I just didn't do them back to back is because I wanted the Hookshot before going to Shadow Temple. But when you finish this race, it leads to the windmill, and I want to get to the windmill, but I didn't want to go to the windmill earlier because I had to go to Shadow Temple. So it actually works out better to do it in 2 parts. So in this next room, there's a Song of Time block, and I don't have Song of Time yet, but luckily I can clip through it. This Bombchu, I just get in that corner with a certain angle, the Bombchu blows me up and sends me straight through. If it wasn't for that, I'd be trapped. So I can come in here, grab this Heart Piece, and learn the Song of Storms from this guy. So I got to make a day now just to hatch this egg. So the egg is going to hatch into a Cucko now. And I need to do the next part of the trading sequence just to trade in this Cucko for Kajiro. Before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit more RBA. I'm going to dump my bugs here with Cucko on C right. If you looked at my rupees there, my rupee just gained an extra digit. So that just gave me the adult's wallet and the gold scale. And catching these bugs with Hookshot on C right puts a bottle over my ice arrow slot. Essentially just giving me an extra bottle temporarily. So I have to wake this guy up with the Cucko. And this will let me get Kajiro from the Cucko lady. Now I'm going to head off to Death Mountain. So there's a gold skull there. I want to get good hitboxes.
Excellent hitboxes.
I thought I failed that Hess, so I dropped it. So here in Dodongo's Cavern, my main purpose here is to get bombs. Bombs are a super important item. That shoe I just shot should blow up a wall. Okay, got it. That blows up a wall for later on. So you're supposed to light these eyes on this big Dodongo head. It's supposed to be one of the last things you do in the dungeon, like towards the end. But you can actually light these eyes with bomb shoes from all the way at the bottom. Those bomb shoes just go around the wall and just happen to hit the right place. Now I'm going to try to do a cool trick here. Alright, so there I hookshotted the ladder at the exact same time I died. And just like how with the hookshot getting interrupted in Graveyard to get me that jump to Shadow Temple early, That gave me a really big jump because of the death interrupting the hook shot. And that lets me get to the top of Dodongo's Cavern much quicker. And so, because of that, I can get this great item right here, the bombs. I'm going to try to do a Hess here. So I can Hess all the way across that bridge with hover boots. So there's 2 more gold skulltulas I want to get before I leave in the next room right here. So that shoe just killed the gold skulltula. I'm going to grab it from down here and then kill this one. So Dodongo's Cavern is another case of I'm going to come back later. I actually make 3 trips to Dodongo's Cavern, even more than some of the other ones. So I'll be back. So now I'm going to Hess up to Goron City. So I'm going to do a lot of Death Mountain collecting stuff right now. So going into Goron City, the room to Darunia's room is currently locked, and you're supposed to talk to the baby Goron to unlock it. But I'm going to just clip out of bounds. And I'm in this unloaded room now, and I'm going to do some RBA quickly right here. Dumping this with Lens of Truth on C right will put a bottle in my hammer slot, yet another extra bottle. Catching bugs here will give me another bomb to refill. You could actually see it on my C buttons right there. And catching Kajiro on B. So this is a really important one. This actually modifies my bomb bag and quiver. So that just gave me the biggest bomb bag that holds 40 bombs. And it gave me a glitched quiver that only holds 20 arrows, which is lower than the normal minimum. And that'll be really important for later on. That causes a really important glitch later in the run. So here's another cutscene skip. I'm going to die right as I enter the cutscene where you get Bolero of Fire. Again, this gives me the song. I don't have to watch the cutscene. Gonna head up the top here and go grab some magic. So there's 6 fairy fountains in the game, and you always have to get magic the first time. The first one always has to be magic. If you try to get any of the other ones before magic, nothing really happens. It just plays a little jingle, but no cutscene happens. So I'm going to come down here and play Sunsong. This is going to have 2 purposes. 1, I obviously need to make it night, and 2, it's also going to cause a fairy to come out of this Gossip Stone, and I need this fairy right here. This will be useful for later. There's a gold skulltula in that rock. You're normally supposed to use the hammer to break that, but you can just do a backflip into it, and you'll get enough into the rock to actually touch the gold skulltula token. And similarly, there's another one here that also is supposed to have hammer, but you can use the hook shot. So I'm going to go back into Goron City, this time just as a way to get to Lost Woods. There's a shortcut here that leads to Lost Woods. So in Lost Woods, Mido is blocking the path to Sacred Forest Meadow. You're normally supposed to play Saria's song for him. You can also just Mega Flip over him. He's short. And then there's a gold skulltula up here. Gonna kill it with a bomb shoe. And grab it with the hook shot. This one you're supposed to use a magic bean for, but magic beans take too long. All right, so this route is really interesting. There's a Decanut upgrade that is sold here, but I'm going to get 2. There's 1 upgrade, and there's 2 upgrades. So what happened there is I did a glitch where I went into C up at the same time I shielded and targeted, right as the Decanut was hitting me. And so this makes it so that I was going into C up mode, but I wasn't fully in it, and I could still walk around. And when you're in C up mode, you can't receive items. So I activated both of their triggers to give me items. I bought both of what they were selling. And then they couldn't give me the item, so then I deactivated the glitch, and then they both gave me the same item, which ended up being the Decanut upgrade. So I just did a glitch there to get on that ladder right as I was getting off it as well. So as you can see, my A button says down. It's kind of like I'm on a ladder right now. And with that glitch active, I can walk up slippery slopes. That slope I just walked up, I was not supposed to. You're only supposed to slip right off it as soon as you touch it. But that allows me to get out of bounds and skip that cutscene. Also, there's a funny little glitch here where you can like hear the Ocarina notes because I voided out in the middle of that cutscene. So this Zora's River part is kind of tight. I want to make it into Zora's Domain before it turns daytime, and there's 2 gold Skulltulas I need to get. 1 right here. It's very high up on this wall, so I have to climb that fence in order to grab it. Otherwise, you need long shot. And then 1 over here. Oh no. I hope I still have enough time.
I think you do.
So I'm gonna want to die right as I get this gold Skulltula token. So this puts me back at the beginning of Zora's River, but the important thing is that time of day is not passing as I'm being put back to the beginning of Zora's River. So this just saves time of day, so I can hopefully get in there before it turns daytime. I think it should be good. I can use hover boots to get past that waterfall instead of playing Zelda's Lullaby. Okay, I made it on time. So I never came to Zora's Domain as child. That means that King Zora is still in the same place he normally is. You're normally supposed to move him as child. And you can see he's still blocking Zora's Fountain. You can also see that he was frozen in red ice. But I read that sign, and by reading that sign in a specific way, so the camera pans towards King Zora as he loads, it makes the red ice not load properly, and so now he is unfrozen, and I can talk to him and grab the Zora tunic. So King Zora is still blocking the way, but I can clip out of bounds right here and get past him. First thing I'm going to do here is go grab Furo's Wind, the next spell. Furo's Wind is a really important item in this game, in this run specifically. It's a spell that you can set a warp point in any kind of dungeon, and then warp back to it as long as you are in another dungeon. It's super useful for like skipping backtracking, and also can be used for some pretty crazy glitches later on. So right here, there's this silver rock. You're supposed to lift with silver gauntlets. I don't have silver gauntlets, so I'm going to do what's called a weird clip there. So I rolled into the bomb and tried to pull out hookshot while holding down, and this causes Link to do some like glitchy animations, and during that, he kind of ignores collision for rounded objects, which are objects like NPCs and rocks and stuff like that. So I could clip through the rock and get down here early, and that lets me get this gold Skulltula. If it wasn't for that trick, this Skulltula would be super out of the way because I need gauntlets for it. So I can Mega Flip here. This Mega Flip is going to put me right on the heart piece on the iceberg. And from here, I can go to Ice Cavern. So Ice Cavern's a really cool part of the run. There's a lot of really cool tricks here, as long as I get them. So first thing in this room, you're supposed to kill all these Freezards to open this gate. Or I can just wait until one of them comes next to me and hookshot it. And hookshotting something so close to a wall there just clips you through the wall. Grab this gold Skulltula. Now there's some red ice here. You're supposed to melt red ice with blue fire. You can also clip through it with a Hess. You have a very high amount of speed, so with a specific angle, you can just go right through it. There's this heart piece here. I don't want to use blue fire for it, so I'm gonna use a combination of crouch stabbing the wall and that bomb to push me far enough into the ice so I can grab the heart piece. So now I'm gonna try to Hess all the way across Ice Cavern, all the way to the far end. Oh wow, I got the insta-clip.
That was so good.
Yeah. So hover boots help a lot with this room, with collecting all the silver rupees quickly.
As little stylish backflips too.
Yeah. The double. One more has to skip some red ice here. And this gets me to the mini boss of, or I guess boss of Ice Cavern, I don't know. The white wolf host where you just stab them in the back. They're weak on the back. I think it does 8 times damage on their back, so just one hits them. So now I'm gonna try to die at the same time I open this chest. Oh, I was a little bit early. Well, it doesn't really matter, I guess, on fast requests because the cutscene will be fast. But ideally, I die at the same time that cutscene activates, and I get the song and skip the cutscene. And it also brings me back to the beginning of Ice Cavern. So with my new iron boots, I can get this heart piece all the way at the bottom of Zora's Fountain. There's actually no way to get this heart piece. You can't get any item underwater without either diving or with iron boots. Any item underwater will only be given to you if you're either in the diving animation or have iron boots on. So even if you could like get out of bounds and reach it from below, like float up to it from below, it still wouldn't give it to you. So this big iceberg here, this is where Jabu is as child, and Jabu's supposed to not be here as adult. Turns out his loading zone is actually still there under the ice. So I can clip into the ice and get into Jabu as adult. All right. So all those boot switches there were to manipulate how acceleration works with the different boots. So hover boots have very slow acceleration. Kokiri boots have basically instant acceleration. And so I started Mega Side Hop with hover boots. This made me start up very slowly, so I can actually go forwards because I still had forward momentum from the roll. Okay. Then I equip Kokiri boots, and that reaches me to max speed instantly. But then I switch back to hover boots so I can do a jump slash, and that jump slash doesn't delete all my speed immediately because I have hover boots with slow deceleration. And so that gives me a very high speed with a jump slash, and that allows me to clip into the ice. So Jabu is really nice as adult, mainly because you have hookshot. These two gold Skulltulas are supposed to be gold Skulltulas you can't get until after you get the boomerang, which requires some dumb backtracking, but that's pretty quick. Then Rudo's down here. I gotta bring Rudo back all the way to the top of the dungeon solely for the boomerang. Rudo is not necessary for anything besides opening the room that leads to the boomerang, but unfortunately we just don't have any way to skip that. So I just shot a pot there. That pot has a fairy in it, and I'm gonna try to catch that fairy. Come on. Okay. Another fairy I'll need for later. I do need both fairies I have right now. And they will be for intentional deaths, not accidental. Hopefully. So I'm going to take some intentional damage here. I'm going to want to die later, so I need to start damaging down. I want to be at 2 hearts. So this switch right here is the only necessary thing for Rudo. Nothing else will affect that switch besides Rudo. But I can at least use her a little bit in here. I throw her right here, and that actually kills one of the stingrays in this room. You need to kill 4 of them.
Nice.
Everyone's favorite. Here's the boomerang. Gonna warp back to my Farore's Wind point here. So I'm pretty much done with the dungeon. I can just go straight to the boss. I'll get 1 more gold Skulltula on the way. So I just equipped the boomerang. You are normally not supposed to equip the boomerang as adult. That's a glitch called equip swap. So you can hover over an item with your cursor, move to one of the side screens, and swap back to the item screen. And on the first possible frame, you try to press up right or up left, and a C button, and it'll equip the item slot that the cursor moves to, but the item that the cursor was last over. So right now I have boomerang equipped, but it's actually the Farore's Wind item slot in my item menu that's equipped. So because Farore's Wind is an item that Adult Link can just normally equip, the game sees nothing wrong with it. There's a little clip out of bounds there to clip into Baronage Room early. It's actually a very small time save. It only saves like 1 second, but it's kind of cool. So here's Baronade. I'm going to try to take damage during this fight, so I end this fight with half a heart. I also want to end this fight in a very specific way. Why did that happen?
That was weird.
I don't know what that was. This is going to be very awkward. I think I got this. Okay, so I want to kill Baronade on the opposite side of the room from the entrance. So I kind of got disoriented there with that fight, but I think it should work out fine. Yeah, this is perfect. So I'm going to die here. So I'm going to die and get revived by a fairy. And I'm dying specifically right on this edge of the blue warp. And this is going to do this really weird glitch where the game is going to kind of drag me back to the blue warp anytime I'm not moving. So I'm going to grab this heart container, and you'll see I'll get dragged back to it. And this is because of the next death I want to do. So the important part here is I want to die right as Rudo's text comes up. So you see there's a text box about to come up, and I'm dying right here so that I can move around while this text box is going. Now I'm going to try to clip out of bounds. All right, that should work. And now I'm in Dodongo's Cavern. So what happened there was a wrong warp. So the reason I wanted to walk around with the text up is because as soon as I close that text box, that is the instruction the game gives to start the process of going to the next cutscene and giving you Zora's Sapphire. And so I wanted to start that right as I was getting out of bounds and hitting a loading zone from the other side. So there's actually a loading zone in Baronade's room that goes back into Jabu. It's not supposed to be normally accessible. You can only get it with glitching out of bounds. But by hitting that loading zone at the exact same time the game tries to start the cutscene where I get Zora's Sapphire, it causes a wrong warp. This will be a glitch used a few other times in the run with different other methods. But basically, the game is trying to load a cutscene at the same time it's trying to load some other area. So it's trying to start a cutscene in another area, but that can instead cause you to wrong warp to completely unrelated places. And the only purpose of that wrong warp was actually just that gold Skulltula. It seems kind of weird, but it's just a little bit faster. So I'm going to Water Temple now. Water Temple you normally need to open with Hookshot and Iron Boots, but you can clip out of bounds and hit the loading zone from there much faster. So at the start of Water Temple here, I want to get ISG. And hopefully I want this Tektite to hit me right as I'm using Furrow's Wind. And this pushes me into the water. And so this is just a little bit faster. It's a faster way to get to the bottom, and I need to set Furrow's Wind anyway. So that's a nice little speed trick. So I need to swim through this corridor and get to the top here, and I can play Zelda's Lullaby to lower the water. So there's one floor below. You're not supposed to get to normally, but I want to get there right now. Trying to equip swap Deku Stick here. So I just did a side hop there without targeting, and then right as I passed in front of that wall, I did target. And when you target a wall in front of you, it shifts your momentum in that direction. So I was side hopping to the side, but then when I targeted that wall, it shifts my momentum forward, so I side hop forward, and I can reach that ledge early and get that key early. And so now I'm using Deku Sticks as adult, another thing you're normally not supposed to use as adult. So this is actually the reason this is played on the Wii VC version and not the N64 version. The N64 version actually crashes as soon as you take out a Deku Stick as adult, but the VC version handles it just fine. Except for the fact that it's invisible, but that's not really an issue. But the Deku Stick as adult is going to be really important for this run. They'll be used pretty frequently. Just gonna grab this gold Skulltula and then warp back to the top with Furrow's Wind. But I'm immediately going to set Furrow's Wind again. Furrow's Wind is just pretty useful here. There's multiple times you want to go back to the entrance. So it's pretty quick to get back here. So the next thing I'm going to do, the water is currently lowered right now, and that normally means you can't open a certain key door because you're supposed to have the water raised in order for a platform to be in front of it. But I can open it with hover boots instead. So I can use hover boots to open that door from midair with a very high speed from a super slide. Here I'm going to grab ISG from this piece, and this will help me get on the very corner of this platform. And this just barely reaches far enough to grab this gold Skulltula. Normally you're supposed to use long shot for that, but I don't want to come back here. Hover boots make this room kind of a joke. I'm supposed to do this puzzle with raising and lowering these dragon heads, but I can just kind of walk around. So here's Dark Link's room. So Dark Link is normally supposed to not be affected by Deku Nuts. He kind of is supposed to jump away from them. But if you use Deku Nuts diagonally, like off to the side, he doesn't dodge them, and so Deku Nuts actually do work on him. And so that lets me kill Dark Link pretty quickly. Also, his health is based on your health. I only have 5 hearts, so he had a pretty low amount of health. And here's the long shot. So behind this chest, there's a Song of Time block. I don't have Song of Time right now, so I can't get rid of it. So I'm going to do a glitch to get rid of it instead. I'm going to open this door as I'm stabbing it, and the door won't actually close because the door doesn't close unless Link is a certain distance away from it. This means that the previous room is still loaded, but it unloaded some of the stuff in that room. Like you can see the chest is gone. And I can hookshot the door frame here to get back into this room with no Song of Time block. And so, yeah, for some reason that door frame is hookshotable. There doesn't seem to be a logical explanation why. There's a lot of weird extra hookshot collision in this game. There are some places that just happen to be hookshotable when they don't seem to have any reason to be hookshotable. And very luckily that door frame is, because it helps us out. There's actually another example of that coming up right here. There's some more invisible hookshot collision. So I'm going to do what's called a weird shot here. I just did it in the previous room too. I roll into a bomb while holding down and hookshot, and this causes Link to do glitchy animations where he goes under the floor, and it glitches the camera under the floor, not actually Link, but it allows me to hookshot from under the ground, so I can hookshot through walls. And so you see I'm hookshotting the wall here. I just hookshot like some random part of the wall, and I'm going to do it again. This is another example of weird invisible hookshot collision where those walls just happen to be hookshotable for some reason. Those at least have a slightly more realistic explanation. They were probably hookshot targets earlier in development, and they removed them and forgot to remove the collision. So those actually have like a seemingly decent explanation, but there's some other places in the game that just happen to be hookshotable, and there's not really any good explanation. Almost done with Water Temple here. Just one more gold Skulltula I need to grab over here. And so now I'm just going to leave. So I haven't actually beat Water Temple yet. The only thing left to do is beat the boss. But I'm not going to do it right now because there's a certain cutscene skip I want to do later. And this cutscene skip requires having Furrow's Wind on my B button, which is a glitch I'll be doing later, but I just can't get it right now. And it just happens to work out much more conveniently to finish up Water Temple much later in the run. So instead I'll go to Forest Temple. So this is the reason why I did so much of Water Temple right now before going to Forest, because the long shot is so good in Forest Temple. So in this room, there's this cutscene with the pose and the elevator. So the pose are about to come out of those torches and move the elevator down, and the whole puzzle of the dungeon is you go kill the pose to move the elevator again. But I'm going to catch these bugs in the middle of this cutscene, and this allows me to move around during the cutscene. And so because I can now move around, I can get to the elevator before it's pushed down and actually get to the basement early. And so there's one gold Skulltula down here I want to get. Just going to get it with a weird shot so I can avoid pushing this big thing. So there's a Stalfos fight in this room. I need to beat these Stalfos to get a key. Jump slashes and power crouch stabs. Beat them up pretty well. I think I never explained power crouch stab. So whenever you do a crouch stab, this attack, it does the same damage as your last attack. And so when I do a jump slash and then a crouch stab, the crouch stab is doing jump slash damage. And so it's really good because you can do so much more damage so quickly. So there's another Song of Time block skip coming up. There's a lot of things I need to skip Song of Time for. Another one right here. The Song of Time block is blocking a door that leads to the outer courtyard. I can do what's called a ledge clip to clip through this block. So I'm going to try to grab the edge of this block at the same time I target the wall. And so I target the wall right as I grab the ledge, and this forces Link to face the wall. But because of how Link's body is oriented when he grabs the ledge, by forcing him to face the wall instead of the actual edge of the block, it clips him completely through the wall, or completely through the block, and so I can get to that door early. And I also want to get up to that ledge early. I'm gonna get hit by a bomb here. Is that gonna work? Okay. So I get hit by a bomb there and switch to hover boots, and that gives me a really big jump. That allows me to grab that ledge. And this lets me get in here while skipping an extra key. So in this room, there's this big block puzzle. You gotta push these big blocks into place. But I can instead skip them using ground jumps. So these blocks have like a little curve under the side of them. You see that curve at the top? That curve means that the top of the block is not being blocked by the ceiling to be grabbed. And when it's not under that curve, you are not allowed to grab it. But that curve means that there's just no ceiling above it, so it's free to grab. And so I can use hover boots to grab that ledge early. That completely skips that big block puzzle. Gets up that room much faster. So there's another Stalfos fight here. Deku Nuts are going to help me out a lot with this fight. You can just stun them, and they kind of have a predictable pattern after you attack them after being stunned. All right, and this will give me the bow. So I mentioned earlier how I had a glitched quiver that only gave me 20 arrows. A weird side effect of that is when I open that chest, it doesn't actually give me a full arrow count. It only gives me +1 arrow. So just 1 arrow because I had 0. That's why I had to get those pots to actually fill up my arrows. Now I actually have a full 20, even though 20 is lower than it normally should be. One last gold skull I need to get out in this courtyard. So now I'm going to do a boss key skip. So the boss loading zone is always active no matter where you are in the dungeon. So I'm going to try to clip out of bounds. I'm going to clip out of bounds from these stairs. I'm going to jump straight forward, and I'll land straight into the boss loading zone. I'm going to start the Phantom Ganon fight. First thing I'm going to do is get ISG. This ISG is actually really important because I'm going to lose my sword in the middle of this fight. I'm going to lose my sword right now. So while Phantom Ganon is going into these paintings, I'm going to use this time to do some more RBA. Okay. That can be scary if I don't catch the bugs in time. So that RBA just refilled my bomb shoot count again. I had Poe on C right. Poe refills my bomb shoot count. And it's going to be really important for me to end this fight with exactly 13 arrows. So I want to use 4 more. All right, exactly 13. So ISG beats him up really bad there. Also, when I shot the arrow, it made him spin his staff, and that makes him vulnerable for a short amount of time. You can't actually do a true stun lock on him. He will get up after a certain amount of time, no matter what. But then using that bow allows me to immediately stun him again, so it's like a pseudo stun lock. So I gotta die again. Gonna take a bunch of damage. So this time I'm going to drop bugs with Kajiro on C right, and this is actually going to delete my quiver entirely and give me a downgraded bomb bag. It sounds bad, but it'll actually be really important for later. Now I'm setting up for a cutscene skip. All right, so what I did there is I did Ocarina items on the edge of the blue warp, and Ocarina items is this glitch where you catch something in a bottle, backflip, press that bottle button, and then some other item that Link holds in his hands, and he can play that item like an ocarina. If you do that on the edge of the blue warp, you're able to move around while the blue warp is active. And then, if I die at just the right time, I will get the medallion, but not have to watch the whole cutscene. And so that skips the Forest Medallion cutscene. So now I'm going to save warp, and this is going to put me back to Temple of Time. It's also going to change my bottle on B back to a Deku Stick. It actually did change to a Deku Stick when I died, but it'll still be a Deku Stick here. So now I'm actually going to go back to Child's, but it's going to be a little bit weird. The Door of Time is still there, so I need to do a different method to clip through it as adult. But I'm actually going to clip through it twice because I'm supposed to learn the Prelude of Light right now. So I'm going to enter the cutscene trigger from out of bounds, then I'll void out, and this will skip the cutscene. Now I do it one more time, and I can actually go to Child's. All right, so before I actually go back to Child, I'm going to do even more RBA shenanigans. So I can turn my Deku Stick into a bottle easily when I have 0 Deku Sticks. And when I catch those bugs with Fairy on C right, fairy modifies my Deku Stick count. So that just gave me 29 Deku Sticks. So those equips are just setting up for later. So I have a bottle on my B button right now. That's really important. When adult has a bottle on B, when you go forward in time from child to adult the next time, it'll put a different item on Link's B button based on the item I have on C right. So that bottle on B right now as adult means that I can get whatever item I want on B later on. And that'll be really important. So as child, I need to do another method of dot skip. Huh? Did I really mess up the angle? Oh, something I forgot to mention earlier. So back when I did the Forest Medallion cutscene skip, I had a fairy. And a lot of people always ask why that fairy doesn't revive me. So that fairy is in a duped bottle. It's not in one of the 4 main bottle slots. And because of that, it won't revive me. There is a situation where you can make those duped fairy bottles revive you, but it only will work if the fairy is both equipped to a C button and you have a fairy in a real bottle. So obviously neither of those were true, so the fairy did not revive me. So now it's time for some child stuff. I got just to do a lot of overworld collecting as child. So the main reason I made the first child section so short and decided to go adult so quickly is because now in this next child section, I have a lot of extra items and songs that'll help me move around the overworld faster. So I have most of the warp songs. I have bombs, bomb shoes, boomerang for gold Skulltulas. I have so much stuff that just lets Child Link move around much faster. Child Link just can't move around the overworld very fast before becoming adult. So earlier in the run, I did the seam walk where I can climb on these hills. I'm going to do this again. I have to come up here for gold Skulltula. There's a gold Skulltula in a grotto down here that you need Song of Storms for. Grab this gold Skulltula. So a lot of people know that gold Skulltula as that one that lets you get infinite gold Skulltulas. And then they always ask, why don't you use infinite gold Skulltulas in this run? So gold Skulltula duping is not necessarily banned in 100%, but you are required to get each individual gold Skulltula. So technically you could do gold Skulltula duping if you think in some way it would help you, but I need to get all of the 100 gold Skulltulas around the world. Gonna head off to Lonla now for a mini game, a song, and a bunch of gold Skulltulas.
And for sort of the same rule set reason, even though he does have a bottle in his bottle slot, he needs to collect the real bottle that goes in that slot as well, because you need to collect every item from the original source. You can't just dupe every item.
Yeah, so I still have to get each of the real bottles, which this one is one of them. So this is a game where he like throws cuckoos in a seemingly random direction, but actually most of the cuckoos are always thrown in the same general area. It's hard to exactly see where the second and third ones are sometimes. The first one is generally pretty easy, but that was pretty fast. So for this section of the run, I actually have a very low bomb count, and so for quite a while, I'm actually going to use pretty much exclusively bomb shoes as my explosive. It's a good reason for a few things. One, because I have a low bomb count, I don't really have a good way to get more bombs right now, at least not fast. But also, bomb shoes are actually really interesting because you can instantly blow them up by hitting something that they just blow up on. And so in a lot of cases, it's actually faster than bombs because you can basically instantly blow them up. Like how I did that Hess just a second ago off those pots. So I'm going to turn at night, and there's a lot of gold skulltulas I need to get here. That shoe there is supposed to hit a gold skulltula on the other side of the fence, and that shoe killed 2 different gold skulltulas. So that's a really weird glitch called 000. So if you, on the coordinates 000 on the map, the game stores some unloaded enemy data, and that's for stuff like enemies that are too far away to be loaded. So there were 2 gold skulltulas that were too far away to be loaded at that point. One was that one on the house, and another one is on a far wall. And those 2 gold skulltulas just instantly got blown up by that bomb shoe. And since that other gold skulltula I hit with a bomb shoe, I can just hess right through it without having to stop. That's the other gold skulltula that 000 bomb shoe blew up. I can do a jump slash here to skip moving those crates. So I can climb through here and grab that heart piece. Now time to head off to Lake Hylia, collect even more stuff. Gotta grab this gold skulltula. I'm gonna do a trick here called a super swim. So I'm gonna wait for this bomb tree to explode. And when that bomb tree exploded, it hit my shield and sent me back really fast. And by holding up and mashing Z, I can keep that speed. And allows me to go backwards swimming really fast. And I need to go to fishing. I'm gonna wait just a little bit before I go into fishing. This is because of this weird mechanic where right before it turns morning, the fish will start jumping around and it just makes fishing a lot harder. So I wait just a few extra seconds, so it just passes that. So I have to catch 2 fish here, a medium-sized one and a big one. All right, the little one bit instantly, which is good because it just gets rid of them.
Does Faster Quest do anything with fishing the same way it does with Dampe, or is it still kind of
No,
warranty
so
based?
nothing really. Okay, well, this one didn't get scared away. Nothing has changed with fishing because most of the randomness, like when Faster Quest removes randomness, it's usually like come on. It's usually like objective randomness, like with Dampe, where it's just all you do is you change Dampe's percentages. But with fishing, it's very hard to change how fishing works without like significantly changing the gameplay of fishing. Because it's all like enemy AI kind of thing, and that's just too complex to change. That's a really weird like fog image. So I'm gonna go in the water here and hold Z and then get out of the water. So this is gonna cause this glitch where I'm gonna get Adult Link's reward. So you're supposed to do fishing once it's Adult Link and once it's Child Link. But by doing that glitch, I get Adult Link's reward, and so I never have to come back. So I mentioned I got the gold scale earlier with RDA, but again, because of the source requirement rule, I have to get each item from its original source. And so I have to get the real gold scale, even though I got it earlier. Now I have to catch the bigger fish. Come on. Come on. Bite.
He's right there.
Fishing is so dumb. Oh no. Okay.
There we go.
I was worried he was gonna jump off the line. Sometimes the fish can just randomly jump off the line. That's what happened with the first fish I caught. I just got lucky and it didn't scare away the other fish I could use. This one I don't have to do any kind of glitch for. I just grab my heart piece reward. I'm gonna do a mega flip off this rock into the water, and I can do a super swim just like that by mega flipping into the water. and make it nighttime. So here I'm going to get Scarecrow Song. So Scarecrow Song is not a required item for 100%, but it is really useful. And it takes very little time to get. I'm going to do a Hess there, and that was a very bad Hess. So even more RBA shenanigans here. So I need yet another bomb shoe refill, so I'm going to get my bottle on B again. And at the same time, I'm also getting this gold Skulltula. So when you put bugs on these dirt patches, gold Skulltulas come out. And I wanted to do that at the same time as I was starting up the RBA process, just to save a dump and catch. So I have that bomb shoot go around the house, kill that gold Skulltula. I set a bomb earlier to kill this one. Mega flip here. And right over here, I can grab Rudo's letter. And now head into Zora's domain. So Din's Fire is really useful here. There's this puzzle you need to do where you light a bunch of torches. And Din's Fire lets you start it much quicker. You're supposed to get a lit decky stick from a torch all the way at the top, but Din's Fire lets me just start it from here. And I'm going to do a glitch called Flame Storage here, where I just took out a decky stick and put it away immediately. The next time I take out a decky stick, it's going to be lit again, just like that. So I'm doing another Hess here. This is a pretty difficult Hess where I'm going to go all the way from the bottom of Zora's domain to the top. Okay, just barely made that.
I'm so surprised you didn't drop ESS there.
Yeah, same. That spiral is really hard to get up with a Hess just because you're going so fast and the camera is kind of working against you. And the camera actually affects Hess a lot because when you're doing ESS, if your control stick position is the same direction that Link is facing, then you'll drop ESS. And so because of the weird camera there, it's very easy for that to happen. So that bomb shoe riding the wall is going to kill the gold Skulltula, grab it with the boomerang. And I'm going to use this bomb shoe to mega flip into the water to cross the lake here. Done with this section. So another soil Skulltula I need to use bugs for, and I can use my same bee bottle bugs just like before. So this time I have milk on C right, and milk actually affects my bomb count. So it's kind of really nice because being able to refresh my bomb count whenever I want seems really good. Unfortunately, like just the way the route works out, I don't get to do it too often. And even I just did it there, I really only need like 2 or 3 bombs before my next bomb refill. So I'm doing a hover here to cross this bridge. So there's this broken bridge here. Child Link is not supposed to get across it, but you can with a hover, obviously. And it lets you access this part of Death Mountain Crater much more easily from the warp head. And so I just got into double defense here. You're supposed to get in here with hammer as adult, but there's multiple different ways you can clip past those rocks as child. That one, all I had to do was just shield a bomb shoe. Like no glitch involved, just shield the bomb shoe. You can also Hess in, you can mega flip in, a lot of stuff you can do.
I think you can also do 7 frame perfect side hops in a row into the rocks.
Oh
and
yeah,
you'll
yeah,
cut
the
through.
side hops. So that super slide is going to put me at a perfect angle so I can just drop down there and jump slash straight into that little cave with the heart piece. So I'm going to intentionally void out here, so this puts me back where the fairy fountain is, and then I can go to Goron City here. That's also another important reason why I got double defense now and not some other time, is because if I had voided out without going into the double defense fountain and I voided out there, I would go back to the warp pad and I'd have to do the hover again. That'd be really bad. I think this is fine. Okay, so that bomb shoe, it just hit the rolling Goron on the upper ledge. So conveniently, he was in just the right place to get hit by that bomb shoe. And then I also threw the bomb in that pot, and that gives me that heart piece that comes out. That gives me the bomb bag. So I mentioned earlier how I downgraded my bomb bag to 30 bombs. That is the reason right there. When I got that bomb bag there, I just got the 40 bomb bag. I just got the real 40 bomb bag that actually counts for the 100% definition. I had the 40 bomb bag earlier, but it was a glitched one, so it doesn't count for actually having 100%. Really. So I can do this Hess in this room. Because you have such a high speed, you're able to clip through these rocks. And you can skip blowing all these up. And I can do it to exit. So even though I've already been in Dodongo's Cavern, I still need to blow up that rock blocking it, just for this one gold Skulltula. Another soil gold Skulltula. So I'm going to do RBA with Kajiro again. So I mentioned I just got the 40 bomb bag. So this is going to give me the 40 bomb bag again, but since I already got the legitimate upgrade, it counts for 100% now. But the actual reason I did that is because I wanted my glitched quiver back. I mentioned earlier how I downgraded my quiver to 0 arrows, and that just gets me back to that glitched 20 arrow quiver. And that's just something, again, I'll need for later. So I need to give this guy the letter. This starts the Happy Mask Salesman trade quest, where you rent the masks and sell them to various NPCs in the overworld. So that's the only reason I actually need to give him that letter, just to start that. So more Skulltula collecting here. There's a Skulltula at the top of this ladder. Killing this with a bomb shoe is really good. Lets me just climb to the top and grab it. So from the top of this tower, I can do a side hop and talk to this guy on the roof. He's supposed to be a guy you talk to as an adult with a hook shot, but you can get as a child like that. And now it's time for everyone's favorite part of 100%. So in normal Ocarina of Time, this is known as one of the worst parts of the run. Dampe has a 10% chance to dig up a heart piece. And if he doesn't dig it up, then it can be pretty bad. But this is Faster Quest, and Faster Quest gives it first try every time. So one more RBA, another bomb shoe refill. Bomb shoes are super important. You got to refill them constantly in this run. So I can throw that boomerang and have it come back through the wall, and it grabs the heart piece. There's a heart piece in a box up there, and that boomerang just grabs it on its return. Gonna grab that Skulltula. The trick I can do here, oh, I missed it. If you grab this gravestone and start pulling it as you grab the Skulltula, you'll clip into the gravestone, and you can like fall right into the hole faster. It looks really cool. So I need to drink this Po now. The Po has done me a lot of good this run. It finally served its purpose, and it's time to have it go. I really just need to drink it there to empty that bottle. I need that bottle empty for later on. But it did me plenty good this run. So playing Sun Song here causes this heart piece chest to come out. All right, so I'm supposed to enter here with exactly 50 gold Skulltulas. There's 6 different rewards here. There's 6. So the rewards from 10 to 50, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I want to get in here as soon as I get 50 so I can just get the important rewards. The other reward is infinite rupees when you get 100. I don't care about that. There's also one guy I skipped. If I talked to that guy, he would actually downgrade my wallet. It's a side effect of using RBA earlier to get the adult's wallet early. So the first guy I talked to gives me the giant's wallet. If I talk to the other guy, he then gives me the adult's wallet again, which deletes the giant's wallet, and that's very bad because then it's no longer a 100% run. So I have to intentionally avoid that guy. I'm going to do a Navi dive to bottom of the well again. So finally, returning to bottom of the well for the things I left earlier on. There's 2 gold Skulltulas left to get. So the reason I want to put this off until so late is because I have the boomerang now. I can get those gold Skulltulas without the boomerang, but it sucks. And so having the boomerang for this is just so much better. And even though it does require an extra trip, the extra trip is so quick that it's not really a big deal. There technically is this other route where you do Bomb of the Well in one trip all at the beginning, but it's very difficult and very inconsistent. In this room, there's keys, and that route has to hover off of these keys. And hovering off of enemies that have random movement patterns is the worst thing in the world. So finally time to go back to adult. So I haven't finished everything in child. I am gonna become child again a bit later on. So I mentioned earlier how the item on C right as child right now is going to modify what item I get on my B button as adult. Since I had bottle on my B button as adult, child C right item is going to determine what I actually get on my B button right now. So I have Ruto's letter on C right. Ruto's letter is an item that points to my arrow count. And my arrow count was 13. I mentioned back at Forest Temple how I had to have 13 arrows at the end of the Phantom Ganon fight. And 13 is the value of Farore's Wind. So I now have Farore's Wind on my B button. And this is really important because Farore's Wind is normally an item that's only supposed to be used in dungeons. But when an item is on your B button, it's usable anywhere where you can use your sword. And you can use your sword almost anywhere. So this means I can use Farore's Wind almost anywhere, like here in Lake Hylia. So, I mentioned earlier how I had to wait until finishing up Water Temple. So now is a good time, so I can finally go back in. So I can do that Hess with hover boots to cross that really large gap. You're normally supposed to use the long shot to get across when the water is at its highest point, but hover boots plus Hessing lets you cross really large gaps. So I don't have the boss key, but that's okay. I'm just going to do a boss key skip. So I'm going to do this very short hover and then drop. I drop from the hover right as the bomb hits me, and this gives me a good combination of downward speed and horizontal speed. And when you have a certain amount of both downward and horizontal speed, you can clip through certain walls, like that boss door. So now for Morpha, I'm just going to drag Morpha to the corner. Trap Morpha in the corner. Easy fight. So now I'm going to use that Furrow's Ring on B for this cutscene skip here. So I'm going to use Furrow's Wind as soon as I touch the blue warp. And when it starts to fade out here, I'm going to return to my warp point. And this is going to give me the water medallion, but I don't have to watch the cutscene. And it doesn't refill the lake, so Lake Hylia will now permanently not have, or will permanently not be filled. So now I'm going to get this gold Skulltula, and I'm totally going to miss it. So what I actually did there is, right as I was supposed to get the token, I pressed the Ocarina button, and this delays the token until I hit the ground. But by the time I hit the ground, the token was so far away that it was off-screen and unloaded. And so the next time it goes back on-screen, the game will immediately give me the token. And I'm going to use that to my advantage with a hookshot right here. So I'm going to try to hookshot this tree at the same time the game gives me that token. And getting that token interrupts my hookshot, and so I get this big jump. And this huge jump lets me jump all the way to Fire Arrows. I'm going to finish setting up Scarecrow Song here. You need to play it for both child and adult Scarecrow, so it actually works properly. And I'm pretty much immediately going to use it over on that house. So this makes the Scarecrow appear on the house so I can just hookshot up easily. You're normally supposed to either use this or a Magic Bean to get up there. Also, there's a ladder here, and people always ask, why don't you hookshot the ladder? The ladder is not hookshotable. There's a lot of stuff in this game that you think should be hookshotable because it's like either a ladder or the same kind of thing that is hookshotable in some other place, but not all of them are actually hookshotable. So I can jump down here and go in the lab, get this heart piece and gold Skulltula. So this heart piece, you have to dive all the way to the bottom with gold scale. Specifically, you have to touch the bottom with Kakiri boots. Normally, the only way to do that is with gold scale. There's actually a trick you can do with switching with iron boots and hookshotting the crate right there, if you really had to get it without gold scale. But I do have gold scale, so not a big deal. Time to leave Lake Hylia. So as I'm leaving Lake Hylia, there's this grotto in the middle of this fenced area. You have to bomb, and it opens up, and there's a deck of scrub down here that sells a heart piece for 10 rupees. Now from here, I'm gonna go head off to Lon Lon Ranch and go grab Epona. Gonna Hess all the way across Hyrule Field over to Lon Lon. So there's this really weird fence here that has an opening. Okay, I got straight through it. It has an opening in a very strange place because there's a trail, and you'd think that the opening in the fence should be where the trail is, but it's not. And it makes that Hess really awkward. So to get Epona, you're supposed to win this race with Ingo, or you can instead just jump over this fence. So I can just do a quick hover over that fence, and the only time you're ever supposed to get over that fence is normally when you win the game to win Epona. So if you just get over that fence with a hover, it just assumes you won the game. And you get your free horse. Your stolen free horse. So I just killed a big Poe there. So there's 10 big Poes around Hyrule Field. And there's this Poe collector in the market that wants you to collect all 10 Poes, and he gives you a special reward. I only caught one, but it's actually just enough. So I can do this. Not that. This. So I just duplicated that big Poe onto 2 different C buttons. So what's going on here is... So if you have Din's Fire equipped and you try to equip Din's Fire on some other C button, it'll just swap the C buttons that Din's Fire was equipped on. And if you have fire arrows or some kind of magic arrow equipped and you try to equip the bow on another C item, then it'll just swap with that button because it doesn't want you to equip two different bows at the same time. So what I'm doing here is I'm equip swapping the bow onto the Din's Fire slot. And this is causing the game to swap the big Poe with 2 different C buttons at the same time, and that results in duplicating the big Poe. This means I can just give the same Poe to this guy over and over, and eventually I will get my reward. That's my last dupe. Give him this one and the original Poe. And it gives me my reward. And that skips 9 out of the 10 big Poes. So a lot of people ask why that's allowed and like why you don't have to catch all the big Poes for the 100% definition. So the big Poes are not kept track of in your inventory anywhere. They're only something around the Hyrule Field overworld, and so because they're not actually kept track of, they're not counted as 100% an important item for 100%, only the reward you get from the Poes. So another really important use of Farore's Wind on B here, I can set it here in Kakariko, and this will be important for another wrong warp later. One of the most important wrong warps in the run. So I can Hess all the way up Kakariko. Time to go back to Dodongo's Cavern for my final visit. That Hess is a really awkward Hess. Pretty difficult. Okay, that one is not difficult. I just failed it. All right, so I'm going to do an interesting strat here. I'm going to start a Hess and then immediately drop a bomb. And so this bomb is going to be dropped on the coordinates 0, 0, 0. So I mentioned earlier how it kills unloaded enemy data on the map. And so it actually blew up after I loaded this room, not the main room. And so there's a skull in this room that it actually killed, right up here. Gonna Hess back over here and time to go to the boss. So right there, I use Navi to check the keys at the same time I hit that switch. And that allows me to move around during the cutscene of when the door opens from touching the switch. And so I'm able to move towards the door in the middle of that cutscene. And that allows me to get there without holding that switch down. That switch is supposed to be held down by a block. Oh, so something I should mention with Deku Sticks as adult. So you might be seeing flying swords when I break Deku Sticks. So adult is not supposed to use Deku Sticks, but adult has a different item that is breakable, which is Giant's Knife. And so every time the Deku Stick breaks, it's actually playing the Giant's Knife breaking animation. So there's another wrong warp coming up here. I want to try to use Flora's Wind at the same time I touch this blue warp. And so I'm going to warp away here. So now it's going to try to start this cutscene at the same time as I warp away to Kakariko. And so it's actually going to start a cutscene in Kakariko, which is the Nocturne of Shadow cutscene. So I just learned the Nocturne of Shadow from that. And so this is really important because Nocturne of Shadow is a song that normally you're required to have beaten Forest, Fire, and Water Temple to get Nocturne of Shadow. I've beaten Forest and Water Temple, but I have not beaten Fire Temple. And it's really important that I don't beat Fire Temple until all the way at the end of the run. I'm not supposed to leave. Fire Temple is actually going to be the very last dungeon in the entire run. And because of this wrong warp, I actually am allowed to do that. If it wasn't for that wrong warp, I couldn't do that. So it's time to go back to Shadow Temple, doing all my revisits here. This time I'm actually going to open Shadow Temple. Not really worth it to go out of bounds again to skip it. There actually is this cool, relatively new method of entering Shadow Temple and bypassing that loading zone using bombs to push you through the loading trigger. It's pretty neat, but it's kind of like, it doesn't save a huge amount of time, and it's kind of finicky, but it's a really neat trick. So right there was a truth spinner. You're normally supposed to spin this bird statue to open that gate, but you can instead make a flip towards that wall and clip through it. And in here, there's this big rupee puzzle. I'm going to set Flora's Wind here for later. There's this big rupee puzzle. You got to collect all the rupees to open this gate, but I'm instead going to do a weird shot. So I can hook shot underground and grab that chest. Oh, bomb didn't blow up earlier. Or didn't blow up the wall. So there's some Skulltulas that are supposed to spook you as you go down this hallway, but you can Hess directly past them. And there's this really big Hess I'm going to do here. So I Hess through this hallway, and then I'm going to cross a really big gap. Gets through that room much faster. I'm going to lure this like towards the wall, and then... So I'm going to lure it towards the wall and then hookshot it, and so when you hookshot something really close to a wall, you just clip through the wall. So that just lets me get that Skulltula quickly, without having to kill all the enemies in that room. So there's just some invisible platforms I gotta hop across here. Another rupee puzzle skip coming up here. Supposed to collect rupees to open up this gate. You can see a pattern here. I'm not really opening gates here. So there's this moving invisible platform over here, and if I do my movement correctly, I'll pretty much always be able to just jump straight towards it. So just a leap of faith, but it's very consistent and easy. So this is one rupee puzzle I can't skip. I actually do have to collect all the rupees here to open this door. Invisible hookshot target there. You just kind of have to learn exactly where that hookshot target is on the wall. That bomb chew is going to blow up that pot, which spawns a small key. As I grab that gold Skulltula, and then I'll Furrow's Wind back. So there's normally a few more rooms you go through in that section before getting to this next part I'm about to go to. But there's this gate I can clip through to skip a bunch of rooms. I just jump slash that gate at the right point. And I can jump onto the wheel of the ship here. Grab that gold Skulltula. So I'm going to stand on the very back of the ship, and this usually causes the Stalfos to just fall straight off. They can't hit me from here. Come on. All right, there goes one. And there goes the other. Yeah, so I like to always drop off the boat and land on the bell there. Is it faster? I don't know, but it's cool. And I definitely don't fail it. So there's one Skulltula at the end of this maze here. I'm not going to get it right now. I'm just going to set Furrow's Wind here and come back for it later. Instead, I'll just go straight to the boss. So I don't have the boss key yet, but there's a clip I can do to get through that door. So what I'm going to try to do is do a ledge clip and then get damage boosted by a bomb into the loading zone. So I got to set up this bomb in a precise spot. Grab this ledge. My equip swaps have not been great today. So I can do that ledge clip, and the bomb boosts me straight through. And into the bongo fight. So on the 1.0 N64 version, 1.0 and 1.1 N64 version, there's actually a faster way to beat Bongo Bongo, where before you even fall into the fight, you drop a bomb down the hole, which stuns Bongo before he's actually loaded. Then you can fall in, this cutscene doesn't play, and there's this giant invisible hitbox, you just beat him up real quick. Unfortunately, it does not work on the Wii VC version, so can't do it in this run. Can still beat Bongo kinda quick. So one more cutscene skip coming up here with Furrow's Wind. This is why I set Furrow's Wind back in that maze room, is so when I do this cutscene, or when I do this cutscene skip, I can warp straight back there. And then grab that last gold Skulltula. So I just use Furrow's Wind right as I touch the blue warp, and I can warp away at the right time. Skips the cutscene, gives me the medallion. So the last gold Skulltula is in this room. Just have to grab it really quickly, and then I can just warp out. So this is why I want to get this gold Skulltula last, is because if I got it earlier, I'd have to go back through the room I just came from. This way, I can just leave. No backtracking. So I'm going to go back to Goron City now. I never got the Goron tunic, so the normal way you're supposed to get the Goron tunic is you stop the rolling Goron with a bomb, and then he cries about Darunia and the Dodongos, or not the Dodongos, Vivagia and the Gorons. But instead of doing that, I'm going to get into the shop. I'm going to get into the Goron shop, which isn't supposed to open until, wow. The Goron shop is not supposed to open until you talk to the baby Goron rolling around. But using a Mega Side Hop and Hover Boost, I can clip in, and I can just buy the tunic. And this is a lot faster than actually talking to the Goron for it. And I was very low on bombs, and conveniently they sell bombs there. So I just blew a huge amount of rupees, but I got that Goron tunic and a full 40 pack of bombs, which is very nice. Accidental inverted camera. So I'm finally going to go back to the Deku Tree. After I said I was going to go back way back at the beginning of the run, I'm finally going back there. But not before setting for Aurora's Wind here in Lost Woods. One more setup for a wrong warp. Gonna grab that Skulltula on the tree, and now it's time to head into Deku Tree. So Deku Tree is not supposed to be, you're not supposed to enter Deku Tree as adult. But what I can do is clip into it from out of bounds. So I'm gonna do this Hess all the way to the Deku Tree and get over to the side. And on the side of the Deku Tree, there's this small angle that I can clip through with a high speed. And then I just jump slash and get into the loading zone. So now Deku Tree as adult is really nice. Adult can do Deku Tree stuff so much faster than Child Link. I have hook shot, I can climb higher ledges, I have just a lot of other options to do stuff faster as adult. Finally getting the slingshot. Another great use of the hook shot, just skipping climbing all the way to the top. Another gold Skulltula in here. Lighting torches as adult with Deku Stick is kind of awkward because adult Link holds the Deku Stick higher than Child, and most of the torches are supposed to be like Child Link height. So sometimes it's kind of awkward to light sticks as adult. Grab two more. So I'm gonna get ISG here and try to get on this torch. And I'm just gonna barely be able to stand here. I'm gonna do one hover and side hop and equip hover boots. And this clips me out of bounds and allows me to walk just barely on the edge of that crawl space. So one thing adult cannot do is go in those crawl spaces. And the only way to go to the back of the Deku Tree is either go through that crawl space or go all the way around in several other rooms. But instead, we can go out of bounds and just walk on the edge of it. So this glitch here is called a Super Slide Teleport. I can't grab that grass right now because I don't have a strength upgrade. And so I did a Super Slide Teleport, so I Super Slid off the grass and then went lower because I went down a slope. Then when I let go, I go back to the grass, I get teleported back, but I keep my height. And my height was under the ground then. Then I could do a mega side hop from there and go to the boss room. So ISG can kill Goma pretty quickly, and one more wrong warp coming up here. Alright, so I'm going to warp away right as this cutscene's about to start. And this is going to wrong warp me all the way to Desert Colossus at Spirit Temple. So it actually wrong warps me into the Silver Gauntlets cutscene. So because of fast request, like shortening the cutscenes, it looked very weird there. But that was supposed to be the cutscene where you get Silver Gauntlets. I'm going to delete Fro's Wind there so I can reset it here. So I'm not actually going to get the Silver Gauntlets. Again, you only are required to get the highest item upgrades. So for strength upgrades, I only need the Gold Gauntlets. Silver and Goron Bracelet don't really matter because they're going to get deleted by Gold Gauntlets anyway. So I set Fro's Wind up there on the upper hand so I can warp back there later on. And now I'm going to enter Spirit Temple from the bottom and actually do some stuff in there. Grab some items, grab some gold Skulltulas, finish up the dungeon. I'm going to do a super slide here. You're supposed to have Silver Gauntlets to push this big block on this side. But instead, I can clip out of bounds with hover boots and bypass that block completely. So I can equip Boomerang here, equip slot Boomerang here, so I can grab this Gold Skulltula from out of bounds. So I'm going to use this Bomb Chew to kill this Gold Skulltula behind this Song of Time block. And then I can throw this Boomerang to hopefully, alright, mess it up a little bit. But this Boomerang is going to come around to the side and grab the Skulltula on its way. And I'm going to void out. This will take me back to the beginning of Spirit Temple, and I'm going to do the same thing, but on the opposite side. And so now I'm going to go to the child side section of Spirit Temple. This is normally blocked by a crawl space that Adult Link can't get through. But once again, just go out of bounds. So Adult Link is not supposed to be in this area. So I can kill all the enemies here really quickly with bombs. You light these torches to make a key fall. So this gate is really weird. If you grab it with hover boots from the bottom, you just kind of clip through it, and that lets me just get to this side really quickly. And I can do the same thing on the top of the gate too. If I just hookshot the top of the gate, climb up here, just climb over the top. I'm going to do a weird shot here and hookshot this wall behind the door. So it might look like I'm hookshotting like nothing there, but what I just hookshotted there is actually this wall right here. It's still hookshotable even when the room isn't loaded. So that let me open the door from behind and skip that crawl space. There's another crawl space that, of course, Adult Link can't go through, but that weird shot lets me get past. This chest has some extra bomb chews. I probably won't need these, but this is more for safety. I might need them worst case scenario. So you have to play Zelda here to make a key fall. If I do this really perfect, I can hookshot this chest while it falls. No, not even close. You can hookshot that chest as it's falling, and it looks really cool, but it's like super hard. Although I've somehow gotten it twice. I'm going to go back to this side again, and this time I'm going to go straight to the boss. I'm going to do a bunch of shenanigans to climb this statue from the side and try to get into the boss room early. So I need to climb this arm, and this bomb is going to damage boost me out of bounds. Then I'm going to shield the bomb, and it'll push me up here. Then I need to climb this sword. Oh, that was a little bit early. And from here, I can hookshot that gate, and then I can Mega Flip here. I'm going to Mega Flip and then equip Iron Boots. And this is going to give me a very high downwards and horizontal speed, and that allows me to clip through the wall and skip the boss key. So I need to wait a little bit at the start of that fight for the Iron Knuckle to move, and then set up for this trick. So I did a bunch of damage to the Iron Knuckle, and before I actually killed it, I got into a corner and lured him towards the wall. And I wanted the hookshot clip using the Iron Knuckle's armor to void out, get out of bounds, and I have the bomb kill him while I'm out of bounds. Then I can skip the whole cutscene where the armor's removed and it's revealed as Nibiru. So the twin robot fight's kind of dumb. I just kind of have to wait for them to attack and then reflect their beam back to the other one. I hope this works. I might be too close. Okay. It can be really dumb because sometimes they're in terrible places to reflect the beam at the other one. Like if I was any closer there, I probably would not have been able to reflect it. Sometimes they're like on complete opposite sides of the room. And there's just no way you can hit them. So far, this seems to be going okay. Not fast, but at least they're not doing anything terrible. Oh, spoke too soon. Okay, still got it. No double. Sometimes I can do 2 shots in the same place, which is fast, but I didn't get that. So here I'm going to use the hookshot to make her spin, and that spin makes her move to the next platform faster. Also, when I was using the hookshot in the previous phase of the fight, that was just to keep them locked in place. It was just easier to hit them because they can't move. So thankfully, this cutscene is sped up, and we don't have to hear anything strange. And Twitch chat doesn't get to spam their favorite thing. And yet another cutscene skip with Furrow's Wind. So earlier when I set Furrow's Wind here, that allows me to do that cutscene skip, and it conveniently places me next to the last gold skull slot I need to get. So before I went to the boss, you may have noticed I had 1 extra key, and I didn't use that yet. So that 1 extra key is actually just to get this gold skull slot. Now I can warp out. So I'm going to do a super slide with hover boots to get onto this rock where a heart piece is. You're supposed to use magic bean to get up here, but That's obviously much faster. Now there's a few gold skull souls to get. Nice, thanks. So this gold skull can be annoying because levers like to attack you a lot, but that was pretty good. That didn't annoy me too much. So I'm just gonna grab Neighbor's Love. Neighbor's Love is completely useless. It just makes you invincible. You actually can make some bomb tricks like Hessing and Super Sliding easier with Neighbor's Love, but it's never really actually a useful thing to do. So now I'm gonna get to Gerudo Fortress. So normally you're supposed to go from Gerudo Fortress to Haunted Wasteland to Desert Colossus. I'm going to go completely reverse in Haunted Wasteland to get from Desert Colossus to Gerudo Fortress. So I kind of have to just memorize where the void out zones are here. If you stray from a certain path, then you'll be reset to the beginning of the area. So I just have to know exactly where I'm going with that Hess. Grab that Skulltula, and now I'm going to Hess all the way over to Gerudo Fortress. So right here, there's a river of sand. So you may notice I'm going a little bit slower now than I was before. So that river of sand is a really steep slope, and if you just go over it with a Hess, your Hess is just going to get canceled and you'll just fall. So what I did there is, if you use the Ocarina during a Hess, it actually cancels your Hess. But I use the Ocarina while not holding Z, and this cancels my Hess for 1 frame, which decreases my speed a certain amount. You get a certain amount of speed decrease every frame. And so it's decreased my speed just enough so that I could get over the river without the slope being too steep because of my speed. And now Furrow's Wind on B is now finally done, with my final Furrow's Wind set just there at Gerudo Fortress. So now I gotta free all the guards here. Or not free the guards, defeat the guards to free the carpenters. I am stuck. So what I try to do there is get the guards stuck in the torch, and that way I can just crouch stab the wall, and that always just hits the guards, and that just is an easy kill on them. So this is just kind of rinse and repeat with all the guards. This part's actually a lot nicer and faster quest, because in normal OOT, these guys have very slow text. So this whole section is really slow and boring, but gets sped up quite a lot. So I can long shot these vines to get to this guard really quickly. And this should be the last one. I got the Gerudo card. So the Gerudo card, interestingly enough, it's not actually what makes you not get caught by the Gerudos. It's actually a separate flag that happens at the same time as you free all the Carpenters. The Gerudo card itself doesn't actually do anything except allow you into Gerudo training grounds. And I think allowing you to play the archery game. Actually, I don't even know if you need it for the archery game. I forgot. Either way, I'll be doing both very soon. Well, actually, I'm not even going to open Gerudo training grounds. I'm just going to clip in. So I can do a backward side hop into a jump slash, and that just clips me through the gate into Gerudo training grounds a little bit faster than just opening it. So Gerudo training grounds, it's supposed to be this hard mini dungeon. You have to collect all these keys to finally get to this big special reward. And I'm just going to weird shot and bypass all the keys and grab ice arrows. And now I'm done. So everyone always likes to make fun of ice arrows, like, oh, how it's the most useless item in the game. And I mean, for this run, it's not going to be useful. I'm never going to equip ice arrows. But there was actually an older 100% route about a year and a half ago where ice arrows were actually one of the most important items in the entire run, and it had a really significant impact. Unfortunately, the 100% route has changed a lot since then, but ice arrows has actually had its moment of glory in 100% speedruns before. You're able to use it to essentially have the bow early in older runs. Now I'm going to play the archery game. So you have to win the archery game twice. The first time you win a heart piece. The second time you win a quiver upgrade. So I wasted a few arrows there at the beginning just because the game ends when you lose all your arrows. So I just wanted to waste them faster. So I gotta play it again, win my quiver upgrade. So this part's gonna be a bit weird. So I mentioned earlier in the run how I had a glitched 20 arrow quiver and how it was really important. So this is the part of the run that glitched quiver is important for. So I have to win it. I have to get 1,500 points on this, and I win it. So the game wants to give me an upgraded quiver, but since I have a glitch quiver, it doesn't quite know what to do with it. So this thing happens. Just kick her, and I get a spooky mask. So, it's a really strange glitch, but that spooky mask is going to let me skip a large amount of the child mask trading quest. But I still need that quiver. So I'm going to do RBA with Kajiro again. That did not work. So this just gave me a real 30 arrow quiver. Now the game is going to see that, okay, time to give quiver. And so it gave me the quiver. But I got that quiver while the Gerudo guard was off screen. And that's really important because that means the game did not set the flag that says that I did get the quiver. Which means if I play the game again, I'm allowed to win that quiver again. Come on, opponent. So, now I'm going to play again. And I will get a second quiver. And there's my biggest quiver. Now, a tiny bit more RBA. I'm going to dump my fish with milk on sea right, and this is going to give me 20 bombs. I was a bit low on bombs, so it's a nice little bomb refill. Put my fish in my real bottle again. Now, warp out with Prelude of Light and go back to Temple of Time. So I've now beaten the Shadow and Spirit Temples, and this means that when I go to Temple of Time, I should get the Light Arrows. So the Light Arrow cutscene has a very interesting property. That part right there is supposed to be a flashback. So this cutscene is kind of weird in Faster Quest. So there's a flashback in the middle of that cutscene where it shows Link as child, and that flashback actually counts as going back and forward in time. And going back and forward in time with a bottle on B as adult will give me a different item when I become adult. As you see right now on B, I have a poacher's saw, and that's because my item on C right as child was Ruto's letter. Ruto's letter points to my arrow count, and my arrow count was 50 because I just got that quiver. And so the reason that cutscene had to be the way it is in Faster Quest is because of that special property of the flashback. If that cutscene was just completely skipped, then that property where it actually does bottle adventure for you, where it gives you a different item on your B button, would not happen if the cutscene was just completely skipped. So it has to be skipped or like sped up in this kind of awkward way, where each little chunk of the cutscene plays for like 2 or 3 seconds. But that's how I got that poacher saw on my B button. So I'll need fires a little bit later, but I equip it a bit earlier just to kill that Skulltula, just because arrows travel faster than hookshot, so it just kills it a little bit faster. So now I'm in Ganon's Castle. I am not going to beat the game quite yet. I'm just here for an important item. Ganon's Castle has the gold gauntlets, the highest strength upgrade. So I want to get that real quick. Come on. So here's my gold gauntlets. So now I want to use Ferora's Wind, but Ferora's Wind is actually not allowed to be used in this area of Ganon's Castle, but it is allowed to be used in Ganon's Tower, the area after you beat the trials. So I'm going to go there by hovering against this wall, of course. So that wall of Ganon's Castle is, for some reason, marked as a loading zone, and it's the loading zone to go into Ganon's Tower. So I can go in there, and that allows me to use Ferora's Wind. So earlier I set Ferora's Wind here at Gerudo Fortress because I had to come back now. And the reason I have to come back is because of what's on my B button. That poacher saw that I got on my B button from the Light Arrow cutscene, that is one of the last items in the Big Goron Sword trading quest. And I can give that to this guy over here. And it's going to give me the Broken Goron Sword. This is going to skip a very large amount of the trading quest. So I drop a bomb there just to put away Hookshot. If you mash through this guy's text too fast and you have Hookshot in your hand, it can actually soft lock when you get the Broken Goron Sword. I kind of don't want that to happen. So that's why I just wasted that bomb there. I'm going to do a Mega Flip here. This Mega Flip should get me all the way to a heart piece. Nice. And I'm going to save warp. So saving and resetting is going to put me back in Temple of Time, and it's going to change my B button back to Deku Sticks, which is good because Deku Sticks can allow me to get past the Door of Time again. So before going back in time again, I'm going to do RBA one more time. The only purpose of this really is to get Bottle on B. Oh, forgot. I'm only going to get Bottle on B right now because I want a different item when I become adult again. When I caught that fish with empty bottle on C right, that just puts a fish in my third bottle slot. But that bottle was my third bottle slot, so it actually just puts the fish in the exact same place it was before. So now it's time to finish up the last of the child section. Just a bit more collecting, going around the overworld. Doing mask stuff. So this is where that spooky mask I got earlier comes in. So spooky mask is the third mask in the trading quest, but I never got the first two. But I can just sell it to this kid. And I can go straight to the bunny hood. Try to play 3 different songs there. This is one of the sections of the run that's probably like most impacted by faster quests because this section of the run normally has so many cutscenes, and faster quest makes this part just like so much more bearable. I'm not bogged down by so many cutscenes back to back. And so Minuet is really good for getting Saria's song. So you don't have to go all the way through Sacred Forest Meadow to get Saria's song. You literally just warp there and you instantly get the song. It's really cool. So because I opened the mask shop earlier by giving that letter to the guard, and I sold the Mask of Truth, I can just get Bunny Hood there. And that's the last mask I need to sell. So I have all the spiritual stones now, which means that this cutscene where Zelda is escaping Hyrule Castle and throws the Ocarina of Time in the water happens. So it may have looked weird where I came out of market and then fell directly into the water. That's because you're not supposed to be in market at the time that the cutscene is active. But obviously with glitches I can be. So when I leave market, the bridge is up, so I just fall straight in the water and I have to climb around. So there's the Ocarina of Time and Song of Time. You're gonna make it night and go get some collectibles. So to sell the bunny hood to Runner Guy. Runner Guy normally runs around Hyrule Field, but at night he stops, and very conveniently, when you reload the area, he stops right outside of this grotto. So I'm just gonna get this heart piece, and then as soon as I leave, Runner Guy will be right there. Shoutouts to Runner Guy. So I sell my bunny hood and then Hess out of here. So I need Din's Fire to burn these webs, grab this gold sculpture over here. I might have messed that up. This is still gonna work. Okay. I expected that to fail. Okay, well that failed. Come on, okay. Second try. I thought she was gonna run along the wall and kill that gold Skulltula. So a lot of the gold Skulltulas in this run, as a child, I usually kill with bombs or bomb shoes. And the reason for this is that they will always kill it in one hit, whereas stuff like Slingshot and Boomerang will always take 2 hits. A Jump Slash with Kakiri Sword can also kill it in 1 hit, but a lot of them are not going to be near the ground. So right after I fall off that ledge, I can just Jump Slash the wall, and that gives me just enough speed to get down here. So those bugs are going to get me another gold Skulltula. So back to market. Now that I've sold the bunny hood, I can complete the mass trade quest and get the Mask of Truth. Here's the mask. Now I've got to do some market mini games. There's a bunch of mini games in the market. So first up is the slingshot game. So all these rupees come out in a predictable pattern. So I know exactly when they're going to come out. In the adult version, they're randomized, or like the order is randomized. But I skipped the adult archery game because of that glitch I did in Gerudo Fortress to get 2 different quivers. So actually, you sort of can do a similar glitch with getting 2 different quivers to get 2 different slingshot bags. And you can do that with the slingshot bag in Lost Woods and skip the one that I just got. The problem with it is that it doesn't save time. It's pretty much exactly the same time as getting the archery bullet bag, except it's harder and a lot more risky. And you don't really want to do harder and more risky stuff when it doesn't save time. So normally there's 2 prizes you need to win there, the Heart Beast and the bomb bag. But because of the glitches I did earlier to get the biggest bomb bag from the Rolling Goron in Goron City, I now have my bomb bag completion requirement, so I don't have to win the bomb bag there. So there's this dog roaming around at night. I have to return to his owner. This is Richard Z. And one last minigame. There's the treasure chest minigame here. So you just use the Lens of Truth to see what prize is in which chest, to cheese it. I was expecting all down chests. And from here, I'm just going to save and return to Kakiri Forest. So it's really important to save warp out of that minigame because manually leaving that game, going through all the doors takes so long. So it's pretty much any 100% route ever, we've always routed it so that you do a save warp to leave that area. It's just way too slow to leave normally. So this is Kakiri Forest, Lost Woods cleanup time. A few last gold skulltulas and heart pieces I gotta get here. So we're gonna do one more RBA with milk here to get more bombs back. Pretty low on bombs right now. Got a nice bomb refill there. So I can mega flip over these ropes to get out of here when you're not really supposed to. So this is the guy that sells the real Deku Stick upgrade. So this is my real Deku Stick 30 capacity upgrade. So I'm going to try to get this Skulltula in this soil, but I'm going to drop the bugs very far away from the soil patch because I want to catch both. I want to catch bugs in both of my bottles here. And if they're really close, it kind of is hard to catch them in both. So I'm going to equip fire arrows as child. So unfortunately, equipping magic arrows as child is not really that interesting. It just acts as slingshot. But the reason I want it is actually because it'll save a pause. If I equip Slingshot right now and I didn't do any extra pauses, I would delete Slingshot later. But just equipping Fire Arrows makes it so I won't delete Slingshot. That's really the only reason I equip Fire Arrows here. No Fire Slingshot, unfortunately. There's my highest seed bag. So this is normally one of the worst minigame in OOT. Fast Request thankfully makes it a lot more bearable. You only have to do the first part of this minigame, just the first 5-note part. And that's it. In normal OOT, that whole minigame lasts like 3 minutes, and it's the worst part of 100%. Worse than Dampe. So here, again, because I have fire arrows equipped, this isn't going to delete anything. In fact, what fire arrows actually modifies is it gives me the Fire Temple map and boss key. I don't actually need those. Again, the only reason I equipped it is just so I don't have to pause later. I don't have to do an extra pause, but I guess I get a cool map and boss key. So throwing that bomb from the ledge killed that gold Skulltula, and I could boomerang that heart piece. So that lets me get both of those pretty quickly. So there's some frogs down here. They give you 2 heart pieces for playing a bunch of songs for them. 1 heart piece for Song of Storms, and then another heart piece for all the other songs plus an extra minigame. I gotta play all these songs here. They also give you a bunch of rupees. Not that I need them. So here's the song, Storm's Heart piece, and then I have to play one more minigame with them. If I ever fail that, it's always because I was trying to go too fast, and they can't go fast enough. Gotta play Sun Song here to make it night for later. As I grab this heart piece. So I gotta buy magic beans from the bean salesman here. So I'm not gonna plant any magic beans, but I do need to get them just for the 100% completion definition. There have been older 100% routes that actually do make use of magic beans, particularly in Desert Colossus, but not really anymore. Pretty useless now. I can use those levers to super slide really quickly. It's pretty cool. So I gotta get bugs out for my last gold skulltula here. These bugs, wow. Okay, so I was gonna say I don't need to recatch these bugs because this is my last bug gold skulltula. Luckily or unluckily, they all dug in the same place, or they all dug instantly. Normally that means I can't recatch the bugs because they just disappear before I get a chance, but in that case, that's actually the best case scenario because I don't need them anyway. So I used Equip Swap to equip Broken Goron Sword to my C right button. So once again, Adult has a B button. Adult has a bottle on B. And so what item I get as Adult right now is going to be based on Child C right item. Child C right item is Broken Goron Sword, the item in the Big Goron Sword trading quest. And that item points to a place in memory that has the medallions and 2 of the songs. And this adds up to an item value of 253. So right now, that glitchy mess, that missing no I have on my B button is item value 253. And the reason this weird glitch item is important is because that item actually acts like eye drops. So eye drops, the one that you give to Big Goron for the final piece of the Big Goron Sword trading quest. So there's the last heart piece of the run. The only heart I'm missing is Volvalia's heart container. So even though I have eye drops for Goron, he doesn't actually accept eye drops until the item in your inventory slot for your adult trade item slot is prescription or further in the trade quest. Now here's prescription. So that's why it was so important to get Poacher Saw on B so I could get the Broken Goron Sword from the guy in Gerudo Valley. Because I just give this guy Broken Goron Sword, then he gives me prescription, and as soon as I get prescription, I can give him my fake eye drops. So another nice little feature of Faster Quest is you don't need to wait 3 days for Big Goron Sword, you only need to wait 1 day. So that's really nice. I don't need to pause there. And so now it's time for the final dungeon, Fire Temple. Get a Mega Flip down there and Super Slide in. So before I enter this door, I'm going to do a kind of weird glitch where I open this door right after taking out the claim check and after throwing Boomerang. And this causes this glitch where the camera is still facing the door. So normally when you enter this room, you're met with a cutscene of Darunia talking to you, and he's talking about how all the Gorons were captured, and he's going to go fight Volvagia. So having the camera face away from Darunia makes the cutscene not play. So I can skip that cutscene completely. Don't want ice arrows. I said I wasn't going to equip ice arrows this run. That was only an accident, not actually useful. And you can see how I have the Fire Temple map here from that Fire Arrow RBA earlier on. You're supposed to use Song of Time to make that Song of Time block there appear below, so you can use that to jump up here, but you can actually just jump up with a ledge jump in a certain space, certain spot. That gold skull is actually kind of tricky to get. If you don't long shot it like almost immediately, it's super hard to get from the start of the room, because the tiles just completely wreck you. They just won't let you shoot. Oh no. That keys almost pushed me off. So there's a cool clip I can do just by having a certain angle and having the bomb blow up over my head. I can get to this area early. This is supposed to be a shortcut you unlock much later on. And because the shortcut that you unlock early, it lets you access a much later part pretty early.
Stay hydrated.
Wait. No, no. Okay, that was right. Yeah, so the reason I entered and exited this door is because I wanted to set Frora's Wind. I actually wanted to set Frora's Wind at this door, not in the other room. Doesn't really matter, not that big of a deal. But Frora's Wind always goes in. It goes in the room. It goes in the last entrance of the room you came in. So if I didn't enter that door, Frora's Wind would have been set all the way at the bottom of that room before I did that block clip. That would have been pretty bad. So I want to set Frora's Wind again. So after I get these, after I get a few more gold skulls, I can warp back there. So I'm going to save warp, and this will take me back to the beginning of Fire Temple, where I can get my last gold Skulltula. So you're supposed to use the hammer to break those blocks, but you can just clip in like that. Everyone died but this one guy. So that's all the gold Skulltulas for Fire Temple. All that's left now is just the hammer and then beating the boss. I'm not even supposed to backwalk in that room. So this room has a bunch of firewalls that come up when you get close to them, but they don't come up quick enough to stop you if you're doing a Hess. So I can just Hess through all of them. And then that big firewall, I just take damage and then backflip in the corner, and it clips me past the wall. So here's the hammer, finally the last item I really get. Now to go straight to the boss, I'm gonna do a Hess. and clip out of this corner with the Hess. The Hess has enough speed to just clip me out here. I fall really far. And here's Volvagia. So again, the boss loading zones are always loaded no matter where you are in the dungeon. So even though it was really high up in the dungeon, just by clipping out of bounds, if I just know where the loading zone is, I can get to it. So Volvagia actually has 2 hitboxes, one for one that flies around and one for one that pops out of the holes. And you can actually hit the one that flies around while the one is popping out of the holes. Oh no. What? It's not working. I can't do it. Whatever. SL 2 cycle. So those bomb shoes were hitting Volvagia's other hitbox. For some reason, I couldn't hit it a few other times. Wait, did I mess it up again? I forgot how to count. Okay, well this is slow. The fight's normally supposed to be faster than this. Alright, so with Volvagia dead, there's one final wrong warp I gotta do. So this next wrong warp is the entire reason why Fire Temple is supposed to be so late in the run and the last dungeon in the run. So I gotta do Ocarina items on the edge of the blue warp, and once again I'll be able to walk around while the blue warp is moving. And now I have to get out of bounds and reach the loading zone for the door behind the boss door. Normally you're not even supposed to get to it, but it exists. And so this will wrong warp me to Ganon's castle. That was one last trick. I am in the castle escape, and I want to go all the way to the end right now, so I have to do this big hover. All right. So I'm now at the very bottom of the castle escape, and when I go through this loading zone, I'll be at the very end. So one really interesting thing about that is, so you see there was no cutscene of Ganon's castle collapsing. In addition to that just being a fast request option, Even in normal OOT, that cutscene wouldn't play. And it's because of this really interesting thing where when I got caught back in Gerudo Fortress, when the game sets the flag that says you've been caught for the first time, that flag is shared with the same flag that says you've watched the collapse cutscene. And so just the fact that I got caught in Gerudo Fortress means that cutscene didn't play. Now, the reason that doesn't play in normal gameplay, or that doesn't happen in normal gameplay, is because when the collapse starts, it unsets that flag. But because I did the collapse skip, the collapse sequence itself never started in the first place. So that whole collapse skip is a really big trick. So before I started the fight, I stored a jump slash. I did a jump slash to store as my power crouch stab.
I'll just do like that.
That means that every time I use the hammer as a crouch stab, it'll do Master Sword damage. And Master Sword is one of the only weapons that is not weakened in this fight. Normally all your other weapons are weakened to 1 damage, except for Master Sword and Deku Stick. And by being able to do power crouch stab with hammer for Master Sword damage, allows me to fight Ganondorf, or fight Ganon, hit him down much quicker in the first phase. And so, time's coming up. And time. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Anyway.